This is New School Marketing Podcast for real estate pros, where the very best of real estate reveal their latest systems and strategies. With your host, Marlon Aquino.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to New School Marketing with Real Estate Hot Shots. And today we have a special guest I'm super excited to bring in. He's coming all the way from Arlington, Virginia. He's got over 30K on YouTube, which is extremely hard to do. And he's just killing the whole social media game. So we want to go ahead and bring him today because he thinks it's going to bring tons of value to you. Matt Leighton from Arlington, Virginia.
What's up, man? Hey, super excited to be here. Super excited to share everything everything that you guys need to know about video, how I got 30,000 subscribers, but more importantly, how I get clients over and over again through video marketing. So I'm an open book. I don't really see this competition because I think if everyone is leveling up, everyone wins at the end of the day. So yeah, man, excited to get into it.
That is awesome. Me growing up in sports, I was big on team playing. So as competitive as I can be, I believe in the same thing as you, man. So really glad. Honestly, I've been following you for a while. I've been kind of just watching the different things that you're doing. I'm a huge fan. And honestly, there's not enough realtors out there doing it. So the whole purpose of why I tend to do this podcast is to bring influencers in the real estate space that are killing it. Not just influencers. I don't want to use that word, but, go-getters, top producers, the best of the best. So really excited for you to be here. Thank you, boss. Let's get straight to it, right? Before we get into the real estate, the marketing, and all that crazy stuff, give us some, what about you? What were you doing before real estate? How'd you get into real estate? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been a full-time real estate agent for 8 years. Wow, you blink and time goes by, you lose all your hair, and yeah, you're 8 years into it. So I want to do like a meme where like you post me as like a full head of hair, and then it's like after like a home inspection, and then it's like me now.
Time lapse. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I think that would be a good bit. But I've been a real estate agent for 8 years. Right out of college, I got one job. It was a pick up the phone, make a bunch of phone calls, get hung up on, get cursed out. And it was kind of interesting because we were selling online marketing, and some of the products, I was thinking to myself, I don't know. I think I could have a better product, and I think I could create a better product than this. It's essentially just email marketing, Twitter monitoring and press releases, basically, which does help small businesses. But I knew that wasn't a forever job, but I knew I had to be able to talk to someone on the phone and be able to have a conversation, hear their story, be empathetic, and be able to pitch them an idea. And so I did that for about 8 months right after college. And then I kind of was encouraged to get into real estate agent by my brother, who is a couple of years older than me. He's also a real estate agent, more on the investor side, buying and selling, buying and flipping houses in the DC area. His name is Jeff Leighton. We kind of look alike, and we've kind of had these parallel careers where we definitely should do some sort of like DC Property Brothers or Arlington Property Brothers sort of bit. That hasn't really come to fruition, but he was, I would say, a driving and motivating factor to help me get into real estate. So I got my license in 2013, and I started at a rental only brokerage, which was definitely interesting. And I was there for about 8 months or so. And it got to a point where I had things on autopilot. I'd wake up and I had a virtual assistant that would literally post 20 advertisements a day on Craigslist, because that's how we got all of our leads was on Craigslist. And so I'm telling you, we'd go to our morning meetings, and they would search the brokerage would search each agent's name on Craigslist. And like some agents had one ad up, some had like 3 ads up, and then you search my name, and I got 20 ads up, and they're like, "Oh my God, Matt, how did you do this?" And I'm just like waking up at whenever I woke up, and the virtual assistant's doing it overnight, and so I kind of got tired of that. And I remember specifically there was one deal, late in that with that brokerage where I was working with the other agent, and the agent, wasn't the best agent, not like doing some things that I probably wouldn't do, and dropping the ball and not making phone calls. And then I looked the agent up, and I was like, all right, who is this guy? He probably doesn't do a lot of rental transactions. And I was right. He didn't do a lot of rental transactions. He did a lot of sales transactions. His commission checks were a lot bigger, and the people he was helping, he was having a bigger impact, right? Because when you're helping out someone with a rental, it's great. You help them find a place, they stay there for 12 months, and then they move on. But when you help someone buy or sell a house, you have the opportunity to make such an impact on someone's life. And I had my blinders on being a rental agent for so long. It was only 8 months, but longer than I'd like. And when I did a deal with this agent, it opened up my eyes where I was like, all right, if this guy can do it and sell multiple houses, I got to figure out a way to start selling houses. And I had no idea about prices in the area. I had no idea about any sort of thing, but I knew that I just couldn't do rental transactions anymore. And so I started going and just looking at properties, just looking at vacant properties, going to open houses and things of that nature. And in 2014, I walked into an open house, started talking with the agent, and he was a cool guy. He told me the property had already sold. So I was kind of giving him a hard time. I was like, why are you hanging out on your Sunday at this property which already sold? And, some people were walking through, and I saw how he interacted with those, potential buyers, like grabbing email addresses. And he told me, he was like, yeah, I'm kind of looking to bring someone on. And I was like, well, I'm kind of looking for something more. And a week later, we were signing, papers for me to join his broker, join Century 21. And, he's now my business partner, Sean Battle. Maybe you see some videos. We do podcasts every single week now. We have, over 100 episodes on YouTube, and we're on Spotify also. And, I encouraged him to get into video marketing, which we can get into in his talk. But, for how often agents jump from brokerage to brokerage. I mean, I had no idea what Century 21 was, or what Keller Williams was, or any of the brokerages. Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, it doesn't really. Yeah, sure, your brokerage matters maybe a little bit, but I knew when I walked into the open house, like, whatever brokerage that this guy was with, like, that's who I wanted to, like, attach my ship to. That, like, that's who I wanted to be with. And that was 2014, however many, eight years ago now. And we've been together ever since. And that's how I started my career. And my background is in marketing, and I grew up in the same area that I'm selling real estate now. And I didn't grow up wanting to be a real estate agent, right? I grew up wanting to play in the NHL as a hockey player. And I quickly found out that, waking up at 4 a.m., going to the rink was not really my cup of tea. I did play a little inline hockey, a little roller hockey, if you will, for college. Please don't look up my statistics online. My goals against average is going to look like the interest rate here in a couple of months. It's very high. It's not a pretty sight, but I had the marketing background, and I've always been passionate about Arlington County, right? I've always been passionate about the area that I grew up in, and I wanted to combine those two passions somehow. And now, being a real estate agent, I get to, and through video marketing, I get to share with everyone everything I love about living in Arlington County, working in Arlington County, playing in Arlington County. And now that we have Amazon that has offices here, Nestle has their global headquarters that moved from California to Arlington, Microsoft has a significant presence here. And so a lot of companies are relocating to Arlington, and I'm able to share with everyone the good, the bad, the ugly. It's a lot of good here in Arlington County. I get to share with them through video, really tell a story. And that really helps and educates people, in my opinion, before they move here.
In your opinion, no, clearly. I mean, you're from just based on your stats online, that you're doing something right. Your content's definitely resonating with the audience. A couple things I want to touch on. I wish I had thought about looking your scores up or just anything hockey related, because I did see the inline hockey somewhere, and I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't think to look up, because trust me, I would have put something up here.
Yeah, if you look hard enough, you can find it. Yeah, I mean, everything.
I will now.
You'll also find us beating Virginia Tech, and as a James Madison JMU grad, we can't say anything without telling other people that we beat Virginia Tech, not only in hockey but also in football. So
Jeez,
Couple people that are sports
the
fans will,
rivalry is real.
yeah,
Woo!
they'll get that reference. But yeah,
No.
the hockey career was a lot of fun, but I didn't get drafted, and I didn't have anyone call me because yeah, I was not that great.
Listen, I had big dreams of becoming an NBA basketball player.
Yeah.
And at 5'9.5", 5'10", my dad early on knew that was gonna happen and was like, just straight up just said, you've got a better chance at playing at winning the lottery.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I was pretty
Unfortunately.
good. I was a shooting guard. I was pretty good, but I wasn't gonna have the size, the body, the height. But anyways, one thing that I do love about almost anyone that I do end up interacting with in business later on in life, a lot of them were in sports growing up, so they bring that competitiveness to the industry that I think people who the ones that aren't in sport don't seem to understand why some people have the edge. And it's almost like that sense that most leaders play sports to some degree or something competitive because that's kind of like what drives them. It's like they want to be their best versions and they want to do whatever they do like at their best capacity. So anyways, that shows in everything that you do, by the way. And the other thing was, yes, we know you don't like waking up early because I saw a clip on YouTube on your channel where you were with, I think it was
I know what you're
Austin.
gonna say.
Austin, yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Dude, that was amazing.
shout out to Brand Teaching. Yeah, I flew out to
Yeah.
Seattle and followed around Austin Schneider, who, by the way, is an
Yeah.
amazing follow on Instagram, but also a even better person. But I made the mistake of having a little bit of a boys' weekend in San Diego before, and then I was like, all right, I'll just go up and hang out with Austin for the day because I had a couple days to kill. And for those of you that don't know Austin, he wakes up at 4 in the morning and then runs maybe 20 miles at this point, or maybe it's down to 10 miles. And the man is unstoppable. He's doing amazing things. And
He
what
reminds
Marlon
me of the Tom Hanks character. What is it on this movie? Where he's just running and running.
yeah, Forrest Gump.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just like,
Yeah. So his work ethic, his drive is just
I have to.
incredible, and he's certainly someone to model. And we got after it in the gym for sure up in Seattle, up in Kirkland. But yeah, the clip you're referencing is basically a culmination of like 4 days of like eating tacos and like having a little too much tequila, and then like 2 days of waking up at 4 a.m. and working out, and then the wall just collapsing on me as I'm
Hey,
struggling to
kudos
keep
to
up.
you because anyone else probably would have been like, you know what, Austin, you go work out. I'm just gonna take a nap while you do that.
No, I mean, that's the competitive nature. Like you gotta have that tenacity. Like
Yeah.
If I post like on Instagram how much of like I'm a hard worker, and then I go up and hang out with Austin Schneider and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm sleeping until 9 a.m. Like I'm a fraud. Like that is social media like fraud to a T. So you better believe that I'm going up and hanging out with Austin Schneider, and he's saying, oh, we're getting up at 3:45. Is that cool? And I'm like, I thought we were getting up at 3:30. Like that's the drive that I have and the tenacity that I'm trying to have. And yeah, it caught up to me, one day and kind of put me in my place. But like I'm trying to get after it. And if he's waking up at 3:45, I'm trying to wake up at 3:30 because in no way I can be complacent. Complacency is the enemy of growth.
Yeah.
And the second you feel complacent in this industry is when you start to lose. I kind of always have this, I don't know if it's a pit in my stomach or like this feeling that I'm not necessarily like looking behind me, but I'm like, okay, if I'm not working, someone else is working harder than me. And like, I want to be the person, getting up early, the person making the videos, making the new content, because I know the second I stop, that's when my competitors are going to get by me.
Yep, I just had Andy G on here recently. I don't know if you also follow him, but he met with Ryan Serhant, and when he met with Ryan, he was just like, "What's your advice?" He's like, "Dude, just keep doing more." He goes, "You're already doing video, which is what I would tell you to do." He goes, "How you're doing it is you're doing good. My advice would be to do more because other people may be coming up and starting to do video too." but they won't be doing it down the line. And that would be really where the real from the fake separate, So
Yeah, I mean, video is one of those things where if you do it once, you're not going to do great. Like, it's like going to the gym. Like, you do it once, nothing's going to happen. You probably don't know the right form or the best way to interact or the best way to walk around. And, there's something to be said about some people are naturals, right? Some people just have that charisma. But for the most part, I mean, geez, people in my brokerage are like, Matt, oh, you're such a natural. Like, oh, I wish I could be like you or Sean Battle on camera. What they don't see is me making 6 years worth cringeworthy videos, or maybe videos where it was terrible and then I got like a little bit better every single time. But it just comes down to putting the reps in. And sometimes agents ask me, how do I get better at video? And, Gary Vee once said, like, you can't read about how to do a push-up, right? It's like, if you want to get better at doing push-ups, like, you have to do push-ups. So like, if you want to get better at video, you just have to do video, not care about what other people think. Like, I don't have enough time to care about what people thought about the last video because I'm already working on the next video. And yeah, sure, I want to read the comments. I want to see if there are things to improve on. But the whole like, oh, my hair, I had a bad hair day, or my tie knot was unknotted, or whatever the case may, it doesn't matter. People's attention spans are like so short these days. If you're ever like in a public area or public setting and you see people scrolling on Instagram, do you see how fast people scroll? It is ridiculous. So like, no one really cares that much. They're on to the next thing. And you just kind of have to put yourself out there and get better every single time.
Yeah, that's one constant theme across every one of our like speakers, and that's just got to put the rep in. And that's usually followed by, like you were saying, the only way to, and another analogy, you can't learn to swim if you don't jump in the water. The only way to learn to swim is to actually jump in one day.
Right.
You can watch all the YouTube videos and you get all the instructions and manuals. You got to jump in. So yeah. So that, anyways, thank you. That leads us right into what I actually want to get into next, which is kind of, now you're into real estate. You started out as in the rentals, and you started, moving into more residential and whatnot. Now you started doing open houses, you said. What were some of the challenges that you were dealing with starting out that you are no longer, so not anything that you've mastered now, but things that you were dealing with that you no longer, if you could remember, at least you may not.
Yeah, I can definitely remember all of them very vividly because it wasn't that long ago. And I would say the biggest challenge for me in my entire real estate career is my limited beliefs, right? Like the things that my parents taught me about money, the things that the media will ingrain in your mind about, finances and real estate and payments and whatnot. And I'll give you a very specific example. In 2015, I sold my first ever deal from YouTube. And I've told this story many times. I put out a video, a client called me and they wanted to buy a 3-bedroom condo in a luxury building. And so I met with them and, I was asking them prospecting questions like, oh, how many bedrooms, 1 or 2 bedrooms? And they go 3 bedroom. I'm like, oh, okay. How many square feet? Like 1,500, 16, and they go 2,000. I'm like, okay. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, this is going to be 700,000, 800,000. It's probably going to be over their budget. This is way too expensive. And I go, what's your budget? And they say, oh, like 1.2. And I'm like, oh, and it kind of changed me. And I didn't really pick up on it then, but people have a lot of money, and whatever your thoughts are on money or your beliefs are on money, you kind of have to relearn everything because you're not allowed to carry that burden of like, oh, it's going to be too much for them, or, oh, they shouldn't waive that contingency because there's too much risk involved. All you can do is advise, be the best advisor that you can. And ultimately, if someone has a budget of 1.2, great. Show them places at 1.2, 1.3, and everywhere in between. If someone wants to waive contingencies, great. It's not your burden to carry, the risks involved because you've done such a good job as an agent explaining those risks. So, the biggest issues I had that, they all relate to life, right? It's confidence. This isn't a story about how I was the coolest kid in high school and went to all the fraternity parties in college and how I was the most confident kid. Yeah, no.
I did all those things, but you get it.
Even in college, I once got a keg and had a party and no one showed up. Can you believe that? I don't think I've ever told that. And I'm not saying like one person. I'm saying no one showed up. A neighbor, like two apartment buildings down, was having a party, and they said, "Hey, come over." And that was kind of like my savior. I was like, "Hey, do you mind if I bring a keg over?" They're like, "Oh, what? That's awesome! Like you did." I was like, "Yeah, no problem. I just had it laying around, nothing."
Nice guy like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
That's awesome,
I'm
dude.
not, maybe the videos show it, but it's taken a lot of work to, reframe the thinking of you have to have the confidence, you have to be aggressive, and you have to rewire your brain and really remove your limited beliefs because
Wow.
whatever you feel about yourself as an agent, your potential, it's only capped by the beliefs and roadblocks that you put in your own head.
You couldn't be like truer. I mean, that is probably the number one thing I think stopping most realtors from having the success that they want, or just anyone in life, really, right? It's like getting ourselves out the way, which is why I do think that the things that Austin is doing, like when he gets up and he's doing, those however many miles he's running that morning, or with me, I tend to do 2 or 3 cold showers a week. Sometimes people are like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "Dude, you gotta get uncomfortable." One thing that's very true, that David Goggins says, like we're a generation of like soft people, and our parents. I know some of us look at our parents like, man, that they got so much grit and fire, and they're just go getters. But it just you're looking around at your friends, your group of circle, and you're like, not really a lot of people like this anymore. So yes, man, that's why I'm a total believer in sticking. What is it? Your vibe attracts your tribe, and just like staying hopefully with like-minded people. But like what you were saying, to go back, when you're starting out, you really got to get past those like false beliefs that you have in your mind about either whether it's money or how things are supposed to be going, right? Like you said, you're going 1 or 2 rooms, 3 rooms, 1 or 2, 5. It just kept going like, hey, man, like you just don't know, and you got to be prepared for whatever comes and roll with the punches. So, dude, that's awesome. I hope that people take a lot from that, because without the mindset, you just can't accomplish anything else that we're going to get into. So awesome, man. Thank you. So real quick, now you got things going in real estate. When did social media become a focus for you?
Yeah, I first started. I think my first video on YouTube was in 2013, and then I may have posted like two videos in 2014, and maybe a couple more in 2014. But 2014, I was on YouTube and I was consuming a lot of content, and I noticed there basically wasn't any real estate content, and definitely no Arlington, Virginia real estate content. And Facebook is out there, Twitter is out there, and I'd always use those platforms, but they didn't really excite me. So I thought, hey, what the heck? Why don't I try out YouTube? And so 2014 is when it really started. And again, like the story I shared with the rental agent that sold the properties, and I was like, I could do it better than him. Same sort of deal with YouTube. There's one agent that has been doing YouTube videos forever in this area, and he sells really expensive properties, and I'm never going to touch him in terms of gross sales volume. He's just in another stratosphere. However, his real estate videos are not good. Like they are just Ricky Bobby with the hands coming up like as he's talking. Like they're just so bad. And I just thought to myself, again, if this guy can do it, I can at least like I can do better than this. Like let me set the bar right here. And so that's when it started. And my goal was to first of all, I didn't really know too much about the specific intricacies of Arlington buildings. In Arlington, we have a lot of single family houses, a fair amount of townhouses, but we also have condo buildings, maybe 50 or 60, different condo buildings, maybe less than that. But my goal was to do a video on every single building in Arlington and, SEO the heck out of it. So when people were looking for, Liberty Center condo or the street address, they would find that building, they would find that video, and hopefully go into the rabbit hole of watching all these other videos. So the main goal was like purely educate. It wasn't like there weren't call to actions. I'm not a big like call to action guy. I'm more of a educational branding. I'm going to give you so much free content that you're not going to have a choice in terms of what agent you want to use. Like if you look up Arlington, Virginia real estate on YouTube right now, you're not going to have there's only going to be one answer in terms of who's putting out really high quality, informational, educational videos about Arlington. So that was the whole reverse engineering of how I got into social media. And sure, I'm on, Instagram and TikTok as well. And I'm still trying to figure out those platforms. I'm trying to consume less and produce more content on those because they can be huge, time, vampires, if you will. But YouTube has always been my bread and butter. And I think people are starting to figure out just how powerful YouTube is because, you post a banging video on Instagram and you get the 24 to 48 hour shelf life of likes and comments, and it's gone. And then it's gone forever. It's not a search engine. It's really hard to find old content on Instagram. And what I love about YouTube is I have 30,000 subscribers. I don't really care about the subscribers. Some of the videos do give me like residual, ad revenue, but that's not really relevant for a majority of real estate agents. Like I didn't start putting out videos thinking, all right, can't wait for this YouTube money to roll in, because it's not really about that. I put out videos because I want to click publish, and then I want my phone to ring, and I want someone to call me and say, hey, yes, I saw your video. You're the man. I want to buy in Arlington County. That's the reason that I put it out. And every time I put out a video, it's almost like a little investment, like almost like a little investment property or like a trap that I'm laying that tomorrow, a week from now, 5 years from now, I'm getting calls on videos I did when I was 24 years old, many years ago, just because it's always there. It's evergreen content. It's not going anywhere. And that's one of the best things that I love and one of the most underrated things about using YouTube.
Well, the thing about it too is like you're saying, not just putting up the video like the other guy who clearly hey, great, do all the videos that you want to do, but not going to tune in enough to watch any of it or watch to the end. So when you come in and you're like, okay, I'm going to switch things up. I can see what he's doing. I'm going to do it better and, throw my own spin into it. All of a sudden, like you're saying, you're planting a seed under the ground, and it's just like, the watering and the sunlight is just like time. And enough time goes by, that thing starts sprouting out the ground, and that's a phone call happening, And so that's the amazing thing. And honestly, you're way ahead of the curve because you just said it. People are just starting to catch on and are like, hey, YouTube is where we should probably be spending some of our time and creating content for YouTube. But you've been doing this already for a couple of years. And again, my hat's off to you. I think one of your videos has just one of them. I'm sure there's probably more than one, but they had 1 million views. And all the other ones have a couple of 100,000 views. So that goes to show that you're making content that's one for your audience and one for your the people you're looking to serve, which is the people of Arlington, Virginia. So especially now with so many people moving out of California or moving out of so many places, you want to be the guy when someone puts, why should I move to Virginia, Arlington, that all your videos pop up. I mean, if you've got 1 million views on any Virginia video, like there's a good chance yours is going to be one of those videos that gets put out there. So my hat's off to you. Now, when it comes to YouTube, since we're already on that topic, and I think you're one of the only people really here that is really dominating YouTube as a platform, as a singular platform. So are there anything special that you're doing besides SEO? Are you posting a certain amount of, times a month, or, what's your strategy behind YouTube so that maybe anyone looking to get started can, apply some of those things?
Yeah, I'll just start it right off. Just the two biggest mistakes that agents make. And it's going to sound way too obvious, but I'm saying it for a reason. Number one, thumbnail. Number two, title. Guys, we need to make so people want to click on your video. Because oftentimes agents will be like, all right, I'm going to hire the most expensive videographer. I'm going to, do the most insane tour. I'm going to say the script. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to get the sunrise, sunset, and then it's ready to publish and say, okay, oh, we forgot the thumbnail. All right, doesn't, let me just find this frame. Or no one's going to watch the video if they don't have a reason to. You got to encourage them to watch it. You got to go, I wouldn't call it clickbait because you're going to deliver on the promise of that video tour, but you need to be very intentional about your thumbnail and about your title. So I'm a big fan of Mr. Beast. I'm losing track of how many subscribers he has on YouTube, but he's one of the biggest YouTubers in the entire world. And he spends hours, if not days, coming up and crafting a thumbnail. Now, you don't necessarily have to, spend days coming up with thumbnails when, you should be calling your past clients. But I would definitely encourage you to be very intentional. You can basically go back chronologically in my videos to see like when the light bulb switched of like, all right, the thumbnails are terrible. Something needs to change here. And so thumbnails and titles are my two biggest points of improvements for agents out there. And, a little bit with SEO, people, sometimes their eyes glaze over when you say SEO, but I would definitely encourage to use the neighborhoods and the property addresses. Don't just say, hey, we're touring a Toronto condo. Like, say, hey, we're touring an insane Toronto condo / 123 Yonge Street or / Icon condominiums, whatever it may be, because someone is going to find that video now or in the future because you've gone ahead and laid your trap of using the right keywords. So title and thumbnail are definitely the two biggest mistakes that agents are making right now.
Honestly, that is huge. Honestly, you hit it on the nail. Spend all the money on an editor, on a videographer, and then you don't have enough time to hire that out. So you go on Canva and you just spit something out there. I mean, that's just like swimming
I
against the
speak
current.
from experience. Yeah, you're like describing how I would do my thumbnails.
Yeah, and I've had that issue, and that's actually one of the things that I then set out, and I was like, okay, cool. And even for myself, okay, the pandemic hit, and for me, this, wasn't like my priority. The business, it was like, okay, have it there on the side, see what happens. The pandemic hit, I pivoted and I went in 100% on this. And one of the things I knew I had to do was stop designing my own posts on Canva. Not for nothing. I mean, I started out that way and that was great. I picked up, I saw what worked, what didn't. But I knew that if I wanted to kind of jump up and really make an impression and stand apart, I needed to really take a look at the aesthetics of everything that I was putting out there, and I needed to care about the details. It's the little pebbles that are going to get you. So, dude, those are huge things. If you're not on YouTube right now, honestly, like you really should be using YouTube, just like you're saying. The one platform that is different from TikTok and from Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn is YouTube, and that's because it's a search engine. Like you just can't beat that. And like you're saying, that any video there done right lives on forever. The shelf life on a YouTube video is redonkulous. So if you are going to spend your time in creating videos, I'd say go to YouTube. I wouldn't, sometimes I get asked, should I focus on Instagram or YouTube when it comes to doing videos? And I say, well, first of all, like, where are you getting most of your buzz right now? But if you've got nothing really going on any channel and you really want to put a focus on video, like I recommend YouTube. I said, look, you could go into that pool of sharks on Instagram and start creating reels pointing at stuff. And I said, that's what, you're into doing and you see yourself doing it, go ahead. But those are quick wins. Those are instant gratifications. It's going to make you feel good. Some people, you might get some likes, but I don't know that business is going to come off, going to come from it. So for me, YouTube long form usually is always like the way to go. Yeah, there's, the short content, it has a space, but either way, you could always break that down from YouTube. So dude, amazing stuff. Now, are you anywhere else besides YouTube and Instagram where you're spending time online growing your brand, or is this mainly Instagram and YouTube?
It's mostly YouTube with Instagram and a little bit of TikTok. But, like I said before, I'm definitely not a TikTok expert. I have a few thousand followers on Instagram. I'm still trying to figure out, that platform I was telling you offline, because, there was a time where like Gary Vee and all the people said, all right, just repurpose your content. And so I would take, clips from my podcast here, my podcast studio and put it on, Instagram. And well, people don't really, like hearing about mortgage rate updates and things like that on Instagram. It's more like They want the quick hit of dopamine, like the 7-second funny video, or like I'm trying to figure out how I can create Instagram specific content for Instagram rather than taking my YouTube video, trying to crop it down to
Right.
meet their guidelines, and then adding like a trending song for Instagram. And that does take a lot of time. And I'm also going to say, like, a mistake I made early on, and I hope agents don't do this, is I would put out a video, and I'm talking like 2015, 2016, maybe even 2017, if I'm being completely honest, is like I would put on a video and I would think that that's my marketing. I would think that that replaces other things. Video it's not going to replace other things. It's going to be in addition. So it's going to be in addition to you calling your sphere. It's going to be in addition for you emailing your sphere every single week. I send out a custom email to my entire database every single week. This isn't a quarterly thing. This isn't a monthly thing. This isn't like some generic brokerage newsletter that, everyone sends that has like a pumpkin pie recipe. This is like, Grant Cardone says, if you have a list, hit the list. So, don't think because you're doing a YouTube video, you don't need to make your calls, or you don't need to make your emails, or you don't need to do open houses. Sure, maybe you'll get clients from the videos, but you also want to have those other streams of people as well, in addition to just the videos.
Yeah. And just to tap on what you're saying about the Instagram thing, it definitely is experimental. What works for one person on that account may not. So it really is testing things out. What I like to generally say for real estate agent is to mix it up. The problem is that you've got some agents that are doing everything real estate, and it's just listed. So what ends up happening is also with the other, content creators as well too, sometimes. So you're just attracting other agents too with the content that you're creating. So now you're becoming like, an influencer in your industry, which is great because now that's a bunch of referrals that could come your way, but you're trying to go after the people in your city. So there's a big disconnect also between the city, like your profile, and me connecting it back to the place that you're servicing. Right. So things are very important. Really just show like a blend of everything. It's like, okay, this guy's human. He's a professional, and he's entertaining too. Like, he's a cool guy. Like people want to hang out with people they feel like they'd like to be, or or whatnot.
Right.
So
people aren't going to like use you because they see on your story that you're inviting them to an open house from Sunday like 1 to 4. They're going to use you because you show your dog and you're like, playing Frisbee, and you're like going to a restaurant that they also go to. And the most important thing is to be relatable. They see you, like you just said, they see you as an actual human being, as a real person. And I would encourage agents to stop selling so hard on Instagram. People just skip right through your engagement on the just listed, just sold. I guarantee if I go to your Instagram profile and I can find like the least engaged post, it'll probably be an open house or just listed. And the most engaged post is going to be a selfie, or you and your dog, or you and your significant other, something that shows more about who you are as a person versus who you are as a real estate agent.
yeah, some personality. So yeah, man, it's something that people should apply. And one thing that I want to get into, because you're an expert and we're just touching on that right now, relatability. You do something that I think, not too many people do, but it's really great. In your videos, there's one that I see you, I started off with you riding the bike. So you started with you riding the bike, you're going around the neighborhood. And I think it was one of the first videos I maybe had seen in that style. I don't know why, but I didn't expect it to be what it was, a listing video or anything like that. It was just like, I was learning about the place, the location. I was like, oh, look, he's riding a bike. Oh, how cool. He's in a suit riding the bike. And I don't know, it brought me in. And then I saw another video of yours where the same thing, it's a listing video, I believe, but you've got it's like the dog is there. So you've got the dog in there, you're promoting. So now people that like dogs or have a pet and they're looking to move, like, you're touching on so many different intricacies that probably just pass so many people. So is that purposely or is that by accident?
Everything is intentional. And people really like when you have like an accessory, right? Like when you have a dog, or when you have a bike, or when you have like a crazy suit on, like that's kind of like a pattern interruption, like a scroll stopper, if you will. And and it's all genuine too, right? It's things that I already love. It's not like I hate biking and then I'm like, okay, I have to ride a bike. It's like, no, I love biking. I'm gonna do it. So, I rented the city bike. And what's interesting, we had to nail that on like the second take because security kicked us out like right after that because it was technically like private property. But
Guerrilla style. You're shooting
yes,
guerrilla style. Yeah.
and so like you've seen a few of my videos, so all right, he loves, he loves biking, he loves his dog, and he likes wearing suits. And so like when you meet me in person, it's like, all right, well, yeah, he's wearing the suit, and he's talking about a bike ride he took this
Yeah,
week.
you're looking around for the bike or a
Yeah,
buggy.
and it's like these are clues and things that are going to attract other similar like-minded people. And so when people call me for buyer appointments, it's almost like they already know me. Like they walk in, like you ever like make eye contact with someone and they like look at you for a little bit longer and it's like, all right, I think this person like knows me from. It's like that's how people like see me when I go to my buyer appointments and for listing appointments. A lot of times it's more of, I think, as Tom Ferry says, like a come list me appointment rather than like a listing presentation where it's like break down your market. It's more like, hey, I see you everywhere. Like I'd love for you to come out the house and show me what you can do. So I think the more that you put out who you are, and you don't have to love biking, you don't have to love dogs, whatever, maybe like baking, maybe you like cooking, maybe whatever your thing is. The more you open up and share that with other people, I think the more the universe is going to reward you with other like-minded people that want to work with you because of who you are as a person.
Yeah, like you're saying, don't go for the sell, go for the connection instead. Ricky Caruth, probably my first guest actually ever, he's strong on relationships over transactions. And I really think that really is the key to success in real estate, because how do you, okay, great, the laws, the rules or regulations, just like anyone else. What separates you besides that? And I think the way, how you do things is a big factor. So again, you're crushing it in that. And I think people really need to just see, like, how can I put a bit of me into everything that I'm doing? And again, even the negative stuff, right? Like one of the clients that we work with, we were trying to create a video for her for, just top of the funnel, something that's not real estate related. And a little hack for some of you guys that don't know, if you're trying to run real estate videos, obviously you have, I don't know if you run ads on Facebook before, you got to click the special ads category. So that kind of limits you to your Facebook's complete audience. Well, the hack to, around that is to create a video, from your real estate page or account that's not selling a listing. It's something purely entertaining. So we came up with the idea, and I've given it to a few realtors, females mainly, and they ran with it. So don't go ahead and do this, please, Matt. But these ladies, right? Like what we came up with was them starting the video with like one of them opening the oven. She brings it out and it's like burnt something. It's something clearly burned, right? And she's like, oh, cooking is not really my thing. Then they show her painting. And then we, from like an angle, and then we look at the painting finally, and it's a painting that looks like a 2-year-old drew. And she's like, I'm not that good at drawing or whatever, and there's a few different shots of that until we see her finally sitting down, professionally. And she's like, well, where I do kill it is real estate. I've been, between me and my team, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden people are like watching till the very end and go, oh, okay, this person does real estate. All of a sudden people click on the ad, they go to your profile, and hopefully, you've got something on there to, that gets that follow. But ideally, that's what you want, is to stop that scroll, like you were saying, earn that attention. And then hopefully everything else that you've been doing up till then, it's going to get the follow and hopefully lead to the business. So yeah, man, like that's a huge thing. And I really kudos to you because you find ways to make things that stood out. I mean, I didn't look at these recently. These were old. These are just clips I remember that made an impact. And like, that's what you want to do, make memorable videos, man. So that's amazing. All right, so we're almost done here. I want to get your take on real estate in the future. I just put 2050 on there, but what do you think the future of real estate for a real estate agent is looking like, and what are the kind of hurdles they're going to be going through, or the stuff they need to start adapting from now?
Yeah, I think we're at a very interesting time in the real estate industry. The market seems like it's never been hotter. Everyone is trying to get in. Everyone's trying to buy a property. The people that are selling are making record profits. my client just got a contract for $300,000 over the asking price. Absolutely crazy out there. And the future of real estate is going to be very interesting because I think it's going to be shaped by one organization, unfortunately. And I think that organization is going to be the Department of Justice, because right now the DOJ is coming at the National Association of Realtors hard, specifically, looking at the buyer agent commissions. And I think the ease of access that Zillow and Redfin have incorporated into the marketplace in terms of seeing a house. So like one click, and I have scheduled an appointment for today at 4:30 to see the house down the street with a professional agent. That, one of the biggest issues is just like the logistics of getting clients to the property. And if we can make things as easy as possible to get potential buyers to properties, almost like the Uber of real estate agents, that's very beneficial. However, that does come at a cost. And right now it looks like, I foresee in the future that the role of the buyer agent is going to change drastically. Back in the 1990s and early 2000s, agents held, all the information. If you wanted to see a property, the agent would tell you about it. They'd pull out their hot sheet and whatnot. That was before my time, so I'm not really well tuned. And now the role of the agent is changing, because as a buyer's agent, I'm having clients email me the properties and saying, hey, can we see this one? Like, let's see this one, let's see that one. And some people might say, oh, well, what's your value? You didn't even find the property. You just went and opened the door. And, there's something to be said about that. But my value is beating out 15 other offers. My value is the connection I've made with that listing agent over the past 8 years, where they see my name on the contract and they know me and my company are going to follow through with that offer. So in the future, we are going to see a reckoning of buyer's agents. I don't think it'll go away specifically, but the process of working with a buyer's agent, and specifically who will pay for the buyer's agent, I think is going to change drastically, probably in the next 5 to 10 years.
You're definitely onto something. I think so. I completely agree. And like you said, 5 years or sooner, honestly, the way things are moving now. And quick, what's your take on virtual real estate? Things like the metaverse and all that.
I love it. I love all things crypto. I love all things NFT, all things metaverse. I know very little about it, right? I'm kind of watching on the outskirts. I have a few small investments, and when I say small, I mean like maybe $500, maybe $1,000.
Yeah.
Whether it goes to zero is I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I did see an article the other day, and I did a video about it. The Sean and Matt show podcast about it, where there's a company that's now offering mortgages for virtual real estate. And so I think in the video I made a joke where, this is how the global economy collapses, right? A company is offering mortgages on virtual real estate. Like, what are we doing with our life? But the fact that I don't really understand it just goes to show my ignorance and the maybe missed opportunity that's out there right now, because you're seeing huge brands get into the space, get into Decentraland, the Sandbox, other metaverses. I put some money into a metaverse called Super World, and that has not caught on at all. So,
not yet, at least.
not yet, at least. But if anyone wants a parcel of land in Georgetown, prime real estate, sell to you for pennies on the dollar. But I'm excited about blockchain technologies, and I think more so the process of closing on a home is extremely cumbersome. So I know you asked about the metaverse, and it's a little bit different than blockchain technologies, but I'm very excited about how blockchain is going to make the stress of closing on a property less for not only the seller but also the buyer.
That's going to change a lot of shit. Going from the paperwork, the paper trail, all that's done generally, in person physically, to now having something like that. I mean, again, for real estate agents moving on forward from now on, it's you're a dying dinosaur if you don't start adapting to these things. And like you said, you don't necessarily have to jump the gun and like dive into these things without doing your research. But like even like you just putting your foot in a little bit, you know what? If I lose this, it does, I lose nothing, it doesn't hurt. But if it does catch on and you see some momentum there, then you're like, okay, cool. I should be spending more time into this. But yeah, you got to be open to possibilities.
Yeah, and when you start talking about the metaverse and virtual real estate, people roll their eyes. And I think that's the perfect reaction, because any sort of new technology, you're going to roll your eyes and be like, oh, Instagram, who wants to see a picture of my salad that I ate for lunch? It's like, oh, Facebook, oh, that's just for college kids. TikTok, that's just for 12-year-old girls. Like
Yeah.
everyone is going to roll their eyes at something they don't understand, something that they just think is a fad, and honestly, something that they think is completely worthless. And look, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with the metaverse. I don't know what's going to happen with NFTs. It seems like OpenSea is getting hacked like every other week, and someone's stealing like a Bored Ape Yacht Club. A JPEG is selling for $500,000. I don't know enough about the space, but I know enough to pay attention. So I know enough to spend a little bit of money, a little bit of attention. But again, you can get sucked into that, and there's a lot of shiny objects out there. And so it's more so to educate yourself, unless you're really going to go like full bore into it.
You got to be aware. You got to be aware.
Sure.
If you're going to be a successful person, you got to be aware. You don't have to entertain everything, but you got to be aware of it, I always say. I totally agree with you on that. Great. There's no right or wrong answers, but that was just amazing, dude. I really think people should, like, I'm the same way. All the terminology you just mentioned out there, I'm like, yeah, totally. Those are it. And I'm just learning along the way about each one of those things, how they work, how they could benefit me, and how I could use it in my business, right? But again, you never know which one of these topics, knowing a little bit about, might just get you in the room, might just help you close that deal. So be open to things. And awesome, dude, this is great. Let's wrap this up now with our questions. There are 10 questions. So these 10 questions, Matt, came from, I don't know if you know, but when I'm not acting, when I'm not marketing at night, I'm acting during the day, or vice versa. I live out here in Los Angeles. I've been lucky enough to be in a couple projects and want to just, as of recently, the Book of Boba Fett, if you know of anything Star Wars. But there's a show that canceled a few years ago, and it was called The Actor Studio. And the host, James Lipton, he would have all these big A celebrity stars go, and he would, it was a Q&A pretty much about certain projects they were in, what, how it was. And at the very end, he would end with these 10 questions. So these are the same 10 questions I'm going to ask you. So in honor of James Lipton, I call them the 10 Lipton questions. Are you prepared? Are you ready? Yeah, the first thing that comes to your mind, don't think too much about it. Rapid fire. What is your favorite word?
Oh, productive.
Productive. Nice. I love it. Number 2, what is your least favorite word?
Tired.
Love it. Number 3, what turns you on?
Oh, say working out.
Working out. I think scientifically you're correct on that. Number 4, what turns you off?
Lazy. Are you sensing a theme here?
No, totally, man. When I just recently got married, trust me, all those were boxes in my list. Productive.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Number 5, what sound or noise do you love?
Oh, I would say like cutting into, I don't know, like cutting into an apple or something like that. I don't know why I said that. I don't eat a lot of apples, but
I visually, like, yeah, I saw it. I get you.
Like the noise of like an apple breaking apart is like,
it's almost like opening a can. I felt like it has that effect.
Yeah.
Number 6, what sound or noise do you hate?
Oh man, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I would say like when you peel off like a plastic top and like off of like a plastic bottle, and like the top comes off, but there's still like that plastic like layer, and it's like the plastic has broken into 2 different parts. I'm honestly like getting chills. Like it kind of gives me like shivers just thinking about it.
Oh my gosh! The next time I open one, I would be thinking about you now. I'm like,
Just be sure to pull it off in one part because
in one, yeah. I know what you mean though.
if there's two parts to it.
This happened to me. I know what you mean. Number 7. What is your favorite curse word?
Shit.
Shit. That's a good one. You use shit. Shit. Yo, that's the shit. Or that's shit. Number 8. What profession other than yourself would you like to attempt?
I would say like working at like for a sports team, like in their marketing department. That was kind of like what I was like looking to get into at a certain time.
Amy, you know what? If it wasn't because I didn't want this thing to go forever, there were so many times I wanted to dive a little deeper into things like that, like, oh, why marketing, right? And things like that. And how you even eventually use that in what you do. But dude, we'd have to book you for a whole day to pick your brain. Yeah, literally. There's just
next time I'm on, we'll go into that.
Yeah. But hey, let's keep it going. 2 more questions. Number 9, what profession would you not like to do?
Therapist. I mean, I guess I am a therapist now.
In a way, yeah.
No, I'm definitely a therapist now. So it's ironic that I would say that, but yeah, maybe therapist or police officer. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, but at least you're passionate about the fact of the, like that outcome of who you're helping. But you're just like, I could be here talking to, excuse my French, motherfuckers that ain't gonna ever decide to fix their lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, all the respect in the world to police officers, but I think their pay should be tripled for the amount of BS that they have to deal with on a daily basis.
Gosh, yes. Amen to that. I believe that, especially now, man, things are crazy. Anyways, let's not get too political, but I can. I'm a political person. But anyways, number 10. And this is my favorite question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
We were waiting for you.
Nice. It's almost like he was keeping track. He had you already there. Like, hey, I was waiting for you, man. What's up?
It was either that or you just barely made it. But if heaven does exist, I'm at the top of the list.
Oh no, I'm sure, dude. Great dude. Like you're saying, not only in what you're doing as a professional, but I can tell just as a person in general. So, thank you. Now, for our fans they're watching this now, they're watching later in the replay, where can they go learn more about you?
Yes, so I hang out fairly often on Instagram at the Matt Leighton. Matt Leighton was just taken in like 2014, and I messaged the guy who's like a high school, like 14-year-old lacrosse player in Massachusetts. Yeah. He never got back to me. So then I adjusted all my handles to be the Matt Leighton. So the Matt Leighton on Instagram, and then the Matt Leighton on YouTube. Search my name, search Arlington, Virginia real estate. I like to think that I'm hopefully very easy to find.
Yeah, so you heard him, guys. And one other thing too, you have a podcast as well, correct?
I do. That's on my business partner's channel. You can look him up, Sean Battle. The show is called The Sean and Matt Show. We do weekly episodes, talk about 3 different topics in the real estate industry. We like to have some fun, talk about things in the DC area, in the metaverse, in the world happening real estate wise. And then we're also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from.
Perfect. You heard it, guys. And also, you do post some of those clips on your Instagram as well, correct? Or sometimes you do go live.
I do. I pick and choose. If there's something really, really juicy, I like to throw that on there.
All right. Awesome. So, so you already know, guys. You just have to cross your fingers and hope that, he's alive on his IG while he's doing it. Otherwise, you'd have to go see it specifically on one of those channels.
Let's see if I come back to life.
Yeah. Let's give it a go. All right. Yes.
This battery is about to catch on fire. I think I need to get a new camera. I think it's time. I always tell myself, like, next deal I close, I'm buying the newest gear, and then like the next deal that I close, there's like a $5,000 bill I need to pay for marketing expenses or hiring a videographer, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, yeah. Some other life.
oh,
It happens. Yeah.
All right, next deal, I'll buy the new suit. Next deal, I'll get the new camera. But such is life.
Yeah, start switching it to next time if something doesn't come up.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, dude. Well, thank you so much for sharing so much of what you do that works, that's worked for you, that even the stuff that also didn't. We really appreciate you. This is really going to help a lot of people either getting started or trying to take their business to the next level. So thank you very much. We hope to have you here soon again. Of course, you're part of the family, so you won't be too far.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you, boss. All right, guys, we are done. That's it. We've gone for a full hour. Please make sure to like and comment here when you're watching this on the replay, and make sure to follow Matt as well on Instagram, the Matt Leighton, and of course follow us on Social Buzzin'. And thank you for your time. This is the end. This was a new episode of New School Marketing for Real Estate Hot Shots. So here we go. See you guys later next time.